Men cheat, and women cheat too. But what many people don't realize is that male infidelity is not always the same as female infidelity. The outcome may ultimately be the same, but the motivations, the process, and the psychological impact are often very different. For this reason, some relationship experts believe that when a woman cheats, it can often be more destructive to a marriage, not because it is morally worse, but because it usually goes through deep emotional stages before becoming a full affair. In the previous episode, we discussed the stages a woman goes through before becoming unfaithful. Today, we'll explore the key differences between male and female infidelity and why each tends to experience and approach it differently. First, the primary motivation behind infidelity. In many cases, men are more likely to cheat for physical reasons. They may be seeking excitement, novelty, or the fulfillment of a particular desire without necessarily losing their feelings for their wives. Women, on the other hand, often do not begin with physical attraction alone. The process usually starts with emotional emptiness, feelings of neglect, or a lack of appreciation and attention. She is not simply looking for another man, she is often searching for a feeling she has been missing for a long time. Second, how they choose the other person. Men are often heavily influenced by physical attractiveness and appearance. As a result, a man may enter a relationship with a woman he finds attractive even if there is little emotional connection between them. Women, however, are often drawn to a man who makes them feel special, understood, appreciated, and valued. His words, attention, listening skills, and ability to provide emotional security usually matter far more than physical appearance alone. Third, the level of emotional attachment. One of the most commonly discussed differences is that some men can separate physical intimacy from emotional feelings. For many women, however, maintaining a relationship without developing some form of emotional attachment is much more difficult. Over time, that attachment may grow into love or emotional dependence, making the relationship harder to end. Fourth, guilt and justification. When a man cheats, he may convince himself that it was simply a moment of weakness, a temporary mistake, or a purely physical experience that does not affect his love for his wife. A woman, however, often experiences a deeper internal conflict. At the same time, she may justify her actions differently by telling herself that she felt lonely, unheard, misunderstood, or deprived of the emotional connection she desperately needed. Fifth, the impact on marriage. When a man cheats, his core emotional bond with his wife may still remain intact despite the betrayal. But when a woman reaches the point of infidelity, it may sometimes be after a long period of emotional withdrawal from the marriage. This is why discovering a woman's affair can feel especially devastating. The problem often didn't begin overnight, but developed quietly over time. Sixth, continuity and emotional investment. Some men may engage in multiple affairs without forming a deep emotional connection with any of their partners. Women, however, often find it much harder to walk away once they become emotionally attached to another person. At that point, the relationship is no longer just about attraction or excitement. It becomes intertwined with deeper emotional needs and psychological attachment. In the end, infidelity is still infidelity, whether committed by a man or a woman. It cannot be justified, nor can its painful consequences be ignored. However, understanding the psychological and emotional differences between men and women can help us better understand why some people end up taking this path. More importantly, it may help couples recognize warning signs and protect their relationships before they reach a breaking point. Now tell me in the comments, do you believe a woman's infidelity is more damaging to a marriage? Or do you think a man's infidelity can be just as destructive? And why?